I got some pho cooking here. Oh, nice. Call it Fast Break Pho, and I kind of discovered it by accident. See, I used to always talk about specific things to break a fast with and why you would have these specific things. And then I realized all of these could be combined into a Vietnamese pho recipe. So if you like soup, if you like Vietnamese pho, then I have the perfect fast breaking recipe for you. I'm gonna make it super quick. I'm gonna give you the benefits of each, but I really just wanna be able to give you the details so you can make this and have something tasty, especially, I don't know, if you feel like having something savory. Make sure you hit that red subscribe button and then please hit that little bell icon so you can turn on notifications so you know whenever I go live or post a new video. Also, after this video, there is a link down below for Thrive Market. The cool thing is, I've been able to create grocery boxes through Thrive. Thrive is an online grocery store. And I've been able to put like all the ingredients that I would use for this particular Fast Break Pho into a grocery box. So I have my keto box, my fasting box, all that stuff. So anyhow, like if you just want to get your groceries delivered to your doorstep, you're gonna want to check out Thrive down below, but wait until after this video is done because you can get all the ingredients and know what you want, what you don't, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so when we break a fast, it's all about gut health and keeping it easy on the gut. So I started, and I already got this going for the essence of time, with some good quality bone broth. In this case, I use chicken bone broth, but I alternate between chicken and beef. Beef bone broth is gonna have a little bit more of a high collagen content. Your gut mucosal layer wears down during a fast, okay? So you need to try to support it the best that you can. So you need to try to get the collagen in, you get the glutamine, you get the glycine, all that stuff that's coming from bone broth, and it's gonna help stabilize and help get your gut a little bit more warmed up. Plus, the other benefit, let me turn this down a little bit, is that you're getting a lot of the minerals back in, okay? So when you go through a fast, you're losing minerals. So let's just cut right to the chase. I'm gonna give you two little breakdowns for this. One if you're keto and one if you're not. I'll start with the keto orientation. I've already got the soup going here. Now what I have is I have 5 ounces of super lean chicken or turkey, okay? You can use shrimp too. You wanna use a lean meat, okay? The reason you wanna use a lean meat is twofold. Okay, one, I want you to be able to keep control of the fatty acids that are coming into your body. But two, I don't want you to have a large amount of fat coming in right after a fast. A small amount is all you need, and we're gonna use a specific kind of fat. I don't want the saturated fats coming from the proteins right now. I wanna control the fat that's coming in. And again, this is only if you're gonna be keto, right? Okay, additionally, it's also really important to note that if you have a good amount of protein after a fast, it's gonna make it so your blood sugar comes down a little bit when you do eat other food. Okay, protein has a powerful effect at reducing our blood sugar simply because it ends up spiking our insulin in an indirect way, okay? So I've got that in there, that's just cooking for a little bit. And I use 1 carton of bone broth. Basically, you wanna use anywhere from like 7 to 10 ounces, somewhere in there. Okay, here's the important thing. Actually, I'm gonna add that last. A little bit of ginger, also helping with the digestive side of things, but also an anti-inflammatory. Okay, so in this case, I'm just gonna eyeball it, but probably just going for a couple teaspoons there. Plus, it's gonna give it the actual pho taste that we want. Okay, then here's a big one, apple cider vinegar. Now, I add the apple cider vinegar after the pho has been heated up a little bit. I don't wanna be adding this when it's cooler because I don't wanna denature some of the probiotic effects. Remember, this has living organisms in it. It has probiotic effect. So we wanna put it in towards the end so it's not just cooking the goodness out of it, okay? But a big reason actually for the apple cider vinegar is the taste, but also the acetic acid brings our blood sugar down again. We don't want crazy blood sugar spikes. We want to keep it under control coming out of a fast, but acetic acid also has powerful effects when it comes down to inflammation modulation in the gut too. So you can eyeball it. I go a couple tablespoons, maybe even 3. It gives it the tanginess that you want, okay? It's also gonna give it kind of that pho Vietnamese taste. I use this, you don't have to use this particular one. This is a seasoning that just has a little bit of kelp in it. Gives it sort of just, again, a little bit of an Asian feel. You could put tamari sauce in there. Don't use soy sauce. You don't want to have gluten. It's going to spike what's called zonulin, a protein in your body that's going to cause a leaky gut, trigger a bunch of inflammation, counteract the effects of a fast. Okay, this is sizzling really nicely now. If we're keto, remember, if we're keto, I'm going to add a half a tablespoon, a tiny, tiny amount of MCTs. Tiny, tiny amount. Maybe a tiny bit more than that. Oops, made a mess. Anyhow, it's all I want in there. Super small amount. I don't want the fats coming from the meat. I want the MCTs because they're gonna break down faster. I keep my fats very low when I break a fast, sometimes almost 0. Here we're talking a couple grams of fat, but I think it's gonna help you produce a little bit more in the way of ketones. Okay, now there's one very important thing that we have to add in here, and this is going to be some kind of seaweed flakes. The seasoning I used here had kelp in it, so it would actually work just as fine. But I put this in last because I don't want to break down too much of the phytonutrients in there, but I'm not going for the phytonutrients. I'm going again for two things: flavor, but more importantly, iodine. I want the iodine. Now, if you're a female and you're fasting, this is extra important because that iodine is what's going to support your thyroid. Our thyroid takes tyrosine from protein, like we just ate with the chicken, and it combines it with iodine to create our thyroid hormones, okay? T1, T2, T3, and T4. If we don't have iodine, we cannot create this stuff. I can't overemphasize how important that is. So that's why I added it to the mix, okay? If you are keto, your fast break meal is done. Your fast break Vietnamese pho is done. If you're not keto, this is super important. Please pay attention. If you fast but you're not doing keto, do not add the MCT oil. Do not. Instead, you're going with a handful of rice noodles. Not regular noodles, not ramen noodles. I want rice noodles because rice noodles don't have the gluten in it, so we don't get that zonulin effect. The reason I don't want the fat coming in if you're doing carbs is because I don't want to spike your insulin with carbs at the same time as I have fat coming in. I sound like a broken record, but here's what happens. You spike your insulin, cells open up to let the glucose in. It would also mean the fat would come in for the ride. It's like opening the door for your friends, but also a burglar to come in. We don't want the fat to come in and go to storage. Rice noodles cook very fast, so if you were doing this, you'd probably want to add the rice noodles a little bit earlier, but I'm just going to let them kind of cook in there with the broth. But the other thing is, this is giving you a moderately high glycemic carb. Rice noodles are pretty high glycemic, so it's going to spike your insulin really pretty decently and then come back down, so that 60 minutes later, you can have just a normal meal. This is just such a perfect meal. And yes, I know this question is going to come up. You can cook this ahead of time, and you can have it just laid out in your fridge, ready to go. This stuff, let's see, let those rice noodles go a little bit more. So remember, right now, this concoction is sort of a mix. If you're making this outside of your break fast period, you absolutely can have a little bit of oil and a little bit of the rice noodles. But again, you just want to keep it simple. And boom, pho is good to go. Now, it's a little bit thicker in terms of the actual, like the color that you would see maybe in traditional Vietnamese pho. But the cool thing is that Vietnamese pho uses bone broth. That's the whole point. It's a high quality, good, healthy soup. So it's all going to depend on what kind of bone broth you do. If you make your own bone broth, it might be a little bit thinner, then you're in business. But this is what we got today, and it smells so amazing. Man, that is good enough to make me want to fast every single day, honestly, just to have this. But I don't recommend that you fast every single day. Man, that is seriously good. You guys want to try some?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, as always, make sure you're keeping it locked in here on my channel. You don't have to be fasting to enjoy this. Obviously, it's a good keto recipe, good non-keto recipe. Gets you all the benefits, everything that I talked about, but it is a great way to break your fast, especially when you want something warm, savory, and a little bit cozy. As always, see you soon.